Shootis, who drive their souped-up Peugeots at 200 kilometers an hour across the country. Kulbars, who carry dishwashers and big-screen TVs on their backs across the Kurdish mountains. And Soukhtbars, who risk their lives driving loads of diesel through the desert. These are the smugglers of modern-day Iran. Despite the country's oil reserves, its universities, and its ancient Persian monuments, 1/3 of Iran's population lives in poverty. After decades of international sanctions and internal corruption, the Islamic Republic admits it has an unemployment rate of 24% among young people. And with bans on everything from alcohol to brand-name sneakers to iPhones, the country estimates that 36.5% of its entire economy is in what's called the informal sector. Informal means smuggling. Iran's location on the Silk Road means it has always been a transit point for goods between East and West. The Kurdish Kulbars are active in the West, bringing consumer goods across the mountains from neighbouring Iraqi Kurdistan. The Soukhtbars haul gasoline and diesel across the desert plateau in the east to Pakistan. And smugglers known as Shootis transport all kinds of goods across the country, from city to city. A nighttime run. 2 Shootis speeding across the country. The speedometer hitting 200 kilometers an hour. They overtake and lose control. This video comes from an Instagram account, Beverages Shooti. Beverages is a region in southeastern Iran. It's one of hundreds of Shooti accounts on Instagram from regions across the country. The sites glorify the Shooti lifestyle with close-ups of the speedometers, 180 kilometers an hour, going up to 200 and beyond. The accounts are anonymous, the Shootis' identities hidden. That's because being caught can land them in prison. But 3 of them agreed to talk to us via Instagram, their preferred social network. One of them has this account. We'll call him Shervin. We first spoke to him 3 years ago. He has a degree in mechanical engineering.
I was looking for a job in engineering, but there was no work. I married my girlfriend, but it was expensive and now we're in debt. I make good money as a Shooti. If I didn't do this, I'd have nothing else to do. I get between 7 and 12 million toman for the 1,000 kilometer trip between my city and Tehran. How much we earn depends on what we carry between what cities.
Shootis transport all kinds of goods. Alcohol, which is banned in Iran, comes from Iraqi Kurdistan. Cigarettes, cell phones, and other high-ticket items from the Persian Gulf. Other sought-after products include bodybuilding supplements, car and motorcycle parts, and designer clothing. The cars are mostly Peugeots and Citroëns, made under license in Iran for decades. The cars are specially modified to carry heavy loads at high speeds.
We have to change the suspension of our cars. We reinforce the strength and stiffness of the suspension arms, and we increase the vertical clearance of the suspension so the cars can carry heavy loads. We also tune the engines so the cars can carry heavy loads at high speeds. It takes about 6 hours for ordinary people to reach Tehran from our city, but we deliver loads in 2.5 hours. That means hitting speeds above 200 kilometers per hour.
The Shootis also installed James Bond-style gadgets to help them avoid arrest.
We use fake license plates so the police can't trace us.
Smoke machines are another favorite. And tire spikes.
The gadgets work when the police come across you at random, at a checkpoint for example, and then start pursuing you. But if the police have organized a big operation, the gadgets won't work. They'll have other cars supporting them, and sometimes even helicopters. There's no way you can get away. We don't travel alone. It's safer to travel in a convoy, and you can carry more cargo. There are usually about 8 or 10 cars. We have an advance car that stays 5 to 10 minutes ahead of the convoy. The lead driver doesn't carry any cargo. His job is to look out for police checkpoints. We also have blocker cars. Their job is to block police who try to chase us.
Under Iranian law, fines for smuggling range between 2 and 10 times the value of the cargo. Penalties can be as high as 5 years in prison.
The risk in this job is based on what we carry. If the value of the cargo is higher than 10 million toman, the police will confiscate the cargo and impound the car. If the police chase us and we think that we can't get away, we stop and set fire to the car before they can arrest us. That way, it's impossible to estimate the value of the cargo.
But there is an even greater risk than getting caught. While there's no record of how many Shootis die per year, Shervin told us that in his region there are accidents nearly every week.
We have to drive fast. It's the only way to stop the cops chasing us. So I put my foot down and drive as fast as the car can go. Dying in an accident is my constant nightmare, literally. I think of it every night. I'm afraid of dying in a fire. Sometimes, when I'm driving, I'm so scared that I swear it will be my last trip.
The total number of Shootis in Iran is unknown. In a rare official communication, police in eastern Loristan province claim to have confiscated more than 3,800 Shooti vehicles in a single year. In Iran's arid southeast, smugglers known as Soukhtbars speed across the desert, carrying loads of diesel and gasoline to Pakistan. They're huge convoys making tracks that are visible from space. Souktbar means fuel carrier, and after decades of drought in the region, many of the smugglers say they have no other work. Osman is one of thousands of Iranians who smuggle fuel along the sensitive border, dodging border guards from both Iran and Pakistan.
When I started out 10 years ago, it wasn't that difficult. But the Iranians have tightened the controls. They put in more restrictions, like checkpoints, patrols and fences on all the non-mountainous border zones so we can't pass. We put plastic containers on our trucks and fill them with fuel, mostly diesel because it's less flammable than gasoline, so it's less dangerous. We take the road, and then we turn off towards the mountains.
It can be slow going.
يواش فقط يواش ياسر بيا آرام بيا ما ترسل راسي كان.
When we reach the border region, we pump the fuel into the Pakistani tankers.
اینا تانکای جالبیه تو پاکستان جا که ما داریم معامله میکنیم.
Diesel that the smugglers buy wholesale in Iran can be worth as much as 70 times more across the border in Pakistan.
If you're just a driver like me, who doesn't own the vehicle, you get a flat fee of about 1.5 million toman. The big money goes to the bosses, who have 10 or 15 drivers working for them. This job is very dangerous. We have to drive fast sometimes to escape the police. Sometimes the authorities shoot at us, and that can cause the vehicles to burn.
In February 2021, Iranian security forces opened fire on a Souktbar convoy near the city of Saravan. Local activists said 10 of the smugglers were killed. Angry locals blocked the roads, attacked the governor's office, and burned police cars. Local leaders have urged the security forces to show restraint, arguing that Soukhtbars are not criminals and they have no other option to bring food to their families but this job. They've asked for prosecution of those responsible for the incident.
I've lost lots of friends and colleagues doing this job. When the police shoot at us, they don't care they might be killing the breadwinner of a family.
Iran's petroleum ministry estimates that more than 8 million litres of fuel are smuggled to Pakistan and Afghanistan every day, equivalent to 3,000 pickup trucks. They're called Kulbars, those who carry loads on their backs. They cross the mountains of western Iran, hundreds at a time, carrying loads of up to 70 kilos on their backs. Members of Iran's Kurdish minority, the Kulbars make regular trips over the mountains to Iraqi Kurdistan, where products are cheap and readily available. The sensitive border zone is tightly controlled and dangerous.
There's the risk of falling from the mountain or freezing in the winter. There are minefields and, especially, the Iranian border guards. They shoot at us.
Sirvan is 30 years old and has been working as a Kulbar since he was 16.
The unemployment is so bad that all kinds of people work as Kulbars, teenagers and older people.
چند سالته؟
65 سال.
65 سالته؟
پلیس 1330.
آها. چند وقت کلبری کی؟
والله 3 سال شغل.
We bring in all kinds of things from Iraqi Kurdistan: clothes, shoes, alcohol, home appliances. We get paid per kilo. I can carry between 55 and 63 kilos on my back. Some people can carry up to 70 kilos. Our rate is about 10,000 toman per kilo, so we get about 500,000 toman per trip. How often we work depends on the weather and the presence of border guards. We work mostly during spring and summer, a little less in autumn, and much less during the winter, maybe 10 times over the season. It's a very dangerous job, if you can even call it a job. Last summer, I fell from a cliff and I had to stay at home for a month. I lost a lot of income because of that. Last year, a friend of mine died after falling from the mountain, and another one lost his 2 legs after a mine explosion.
But the biggest danger is the Iranian border guards. Despite public pleas by politicians, even Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei himself, the Kulbars believe the border guards shoot to kill. Kurdish NGOs estimate that more than 100 Kulbars were shot and killed by border guards in the 12 months between March 2020 and March 2021.
The border guards know we are Kulbars, not members of militia groups, but they shoot us anyway. I've been shot at by the border guards many times. Fortunately, I've never been hit so far, but I have lost 4 friends to these shootings.
All the smugglers we spoke to for this report have friends who have died doing the dangerous work. They all say they'd rather do work that is legal, but have no choice. But with food prices soaring in 2022, corruption on the rise and sanctions still in place, they see things getting worse before they get better.